This writing is entitled The Old Jess Bagshaw Box. There was a man from Saltillo who referred to himself as Old Jess Bagshaw. He once had a variety store at the intersection of State Road 60 and Saltillo Road. When this place burned down, he rented the old Kresge building on the Bedford Square and ran an antique mall for a short time. I was in there poking around when it first opened, and I found this box. The box was on the floor and had a small, round, pedestal Duncan 5 table on top of it. The table was priced $20, and the box had a tagline by it, but not attached, that read $3. The box had been spray painted battleship gray. It had runs in the paint and was grease covered. Still, I could see it was a very old dovetail box with handmade strap hinges and handles. I couldn't believe the price tag belonged with the box. So I asked Jess about the price. He drawled, "I'll take $3 for it if you want it." I didn't bother to counteroffer. This price was so wrong, I just paid and left with my box. I cleaned the box up and decided to strip the gray paint. While stripping the box, I discovered two surprises. The box, which I expected to be poplar, was instead pine and was painted with old mustard under the gray spray paint. I decided to scrape the gray paint and save as much of the mustard as I could. I was pleased with the end result. I believe this box to have come from the South in the early 1800s. Although its condition is not pristine, the lid is damaged and it shows much wear from use. This small box is one of my favorites. I love its construction features and I love its battered survivor look. Most of all, I love that I was able to buy it in an antique store for $3 when it should have been $175. That's what I wrote. And this is another one of those stories where I edited out some details, so I'm going to talk for just a minute more or so about this little pine box, which was probably a document box or a sugar chest or something like that. And I believe because it's made of pine, it came from the South. That's most of the things that you find that are pine, they came from the South rather than the North, where hardwoods were used more frequently than things from Dixieland. First of all, the old Kresge building that I referred to is not the one which would have been, to me, the new Kresge buildings built while I was in junior high school on the corner across the street from Bedford National Bank. That building was the new Kresge building. It became an old Kresge building. It was torn down and they built an office building there, and it for a while had a Pizza Hut in it, or not a Pizza Hut, a Subway in the front of that building. The one I refer to is on down the block, and that building still exists. I can't remember the name of the place. It's maybe the Red Nails, something like that. It was a little narrow wooden floored 2-story building that was SS Kresge Company when I was a boy. And they built, for a while, Bedford had 2 Kresge stores. That little old one I think it became a Jupiter or something like that later. And then the new one that they built up on the corner before they started building Kmart's, and we got one of those out west of town and abandoned the Kresge that was downtown. But anyway, that's the history of the Kresge building I'm talking about. There is one point that a person should look at here. And I make this my practice when I can do it. And it's harder and harder to do because it occurs less and less frequently than it once did. Any time that there's a new business opening that sells old things, and by that I mean not things that you order from a catalog, but things that you have to go out and find and buy, or things that you've accumulated, whether it be called an antique shop or a consignment store, a resale business, whatever you want to call it. And this one was called, Jess called his place an antique shop. When somebody does that for the first time, they make mistakes. And you know, people make mistakes all the time. That's why we as dealers or pickers are able to buy things from each other. We all have a different idea about what something's worth. But when a new store like that opens, especially when it's the first time someone's done it, that store has merchandise in it that is priced mistakenly. It has stuff in it that's priced way too high. It's not worth what they think it is. And it has stuff in it that's priced under what it should be priced. And this is not saying anything bad about old Jess or anybody else. This is just a fact of life. I do it. Everybody does it. We have a different experience than someone else does. And it's always a good thing if you can find a new opening to be the first one there. Make it a point to be the first one there, the first one to see it, the first one to take an opportunity of someone else's mistake. That's the moral of the story of this little Jess Bagshaw box, which he priced for $3.